All right. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's webinar, Reporting on Indian Country, Tools to Help Journalists Meet the Moment. This webinar is in partnership with the Center for Indigenous Law and Justice at UC Berkeley. Today's sessions are designed to equip journalists with the insights and tools to cover tribal issues responsibly and effectively. My name is Sheena Roatman-Wynn. I am Lakota, a Muskogee Creek. I am based just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I am Director of Membership at the Indigenous Journalists Association. And here our mission is to serve and empower Indigenous journalists through programs and actions designed to enrich journalism and promote Indigenous cultures. Merri?
Good morning. Well, good morning for everybody on the West Coast. Good afternoon to everybody on the East Coast. And thank you, Sheena, for welcoming us to be part of today's webinar. My name is Merri Lopez-Keifer. I am a citizen of the San Luis Rey Band of Mission Indians. We are located traditionally and affiliated with the Southern California areas of San Diego County. I am the executive director of the Center for Indigenous Law and Justice at Berkeley Law. The center is a newly established center dedicated to improving understanding about the role of Native nations sovereignty within the American legal system and fostering a greater appreciation for tribal sovereignty and rights to self-determination and standing in solidarity with Native nations in their pursuit of justice. And this is a role that the center is excited to play here at Berkeley Law. And this webinar today is right within our wheelhouse. We are excited to be a part of the process and to work with IGA, with Pointer, and with GRIST in helping journalists meet the moment of today, especially with the second version of the Trump administration. And with us today, we have two of our esteemed professors, Professor Kevin Washburn, as well as Professor Seth Davis. I will be dropping in the chat links to their bios so that you can fully appreciate their expertise that they're bringing to these areas. We have a tremendous amount of information to share with you in a short amount of time, so I would love to be able to just jump right in. I also want to make sure that you are aware that we do have a small question and answer session following after Professor Washburn's presentation and Professor Davis's presentation, respectfully. So if you want, go ahead and put your questions in the question and answer section, and we will be monitoring that. And if we can go ahead and answer them in that section, we'll do so, and then we'll go ahead and try our best during the actual live webinar. We have a time limitation, though. We will also be available during after the panel discussion at the end as well. And so again, I will be providing all of their contact information so that you will have us available to you as a resource. I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Professor Davis.
Thank you so much, Merri, and thank you, everyone. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here with you today and to introduce the legal portion of our webinar. I'm also very grateful for the partnerships that made today possible. I'm going to take a moment just to share my screen so that I can present a PowerPoint presentation that will help you get a sense of the flow of the discussion today. So our goal in the first 2 hours of this webinar, which will be split between presentations by myself and by Kevin Washburn, is to provide a useful framework for you to think about legal issues that arise in reporting on matters involving Indian country and Native people. We're going to give you a general framework that will apply to those issues regardless of the particular presidential administration that we may find ourselves in, but we are going to highlight examples from today. So examples from the Trump administration that pose questions about How do I think about reporting on issues that have legal dimensions that involve Indian country and Indian people? So throughout today's session, what I would like to do is invite you to think about, how would I report on this issue, or how would I report on that issue? And the framework we're going to give you, which I will summarize in just a moment, will allow you to think about questions like, how would I report on the legal aspects of tribal governments seeking to respond to environmental degradation, such as through regulating pollution? How might I report on states trying to prosecute tribal members? How might I report on the president unilaterally cutting off funding for programs that are important to Native people? How would I report on the government permitting a pipeline through Indian country? What's the legal framework for thinking about the issues that would arise in each of those and many other examples that we'll discuss? The framework we're going to share with you has four main ideas. I'm going to introduce them and then explain the flow of the show before I hand it off to my colleague, Kevin Washburn. What are we looking at on this slide? We're looking at a map. This is a map from 2016, prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, so it's a little dated. But the map invites us to think about the political landscape of the United States differently than we might usually do. Because on this map, you'll see the territories of federally recognized tribal nations. And as we look at this map, I want us to think about the first two of the four main ideas that we're going to share with you today. The first of those ideas is the idea of tribal sovereignty. This is a political idea, and it is also a legal idea and a legal principle. Tribes are sovereigns with governments that do everything that governments do. They tax, they regulate, they prosecute crimes, they provide health care or education to their people. The second of the foundational ideas that we'll share in our framework today also, I think, comes up when we think about the political landscape in a way suggested by this map. And that second idea is that states do not run Indian country. We're familiar, when we look at a map of the United States, of looking at the jurisdictional boundaries, the territories of each of the states, and assuming that they run matters within those territories. But states do not run Indian country. So we need to think about intergovernmental relations between the three sovereigns: tribal sovereigns, state sovereigns, and the federal sovereign. Tribal governments may work with other governments, like states and the federal government. They may also have conflicts. And in conflicts over jurisdiction and authority, we want to emphasize that tribal sovereignty is a shield against states in various ways.
Professor Davis,
Yes.
if I can interrupt you, I think the slides might be off.
So let me start again with the four main ideas that we're going to present. The first is that tribes are sovereigns with governments that do everything that governments do, such as prosecuting crimes, taxing, regulating, providing services like healthcare and education. The second idea is states do not run Indian country. We need to think about both intergovernmental cooperation and conflict. And in thinking about jurisdictional conflicts between tribes and the states, we need to understand that tribal sovereignty is a shield against states trying to run tribal affairs. The third idea is that tribal governments have a unique relationship with the federal government. This is called the government-to-government relationship. An aspect of this is that the federal government has a responsibility called the trust responsibility to support tribes, which is based in treaties, statutes, regulations, executive orders, and judicial decisions. The fourth main idea that we will introduce you to today is that while tribes determine their own laws and policies, Congress is in the driver's seat in determining federal Indian law and policy. It's up to Congress, first and foremost, to decide how the federal government will fulfill its responsibilities to tribes and what federal policy will be towards Native people. Congress has adopted a policy of supporting tribal self-determination, but the Supreme Court and the president have interfered with that policy in certain ways, which we will talk about. So let me now close by giving you an outline of how we'll proceed. In just a moment, in our next session, Kevin Washburn will talk about the first two ideas, the idea of tribal sovereignty and the idea about jurisdictional conflicts and state authority or lack thereof when it comes to Indian country. He will give examples to illustrate both of these ideas, and he will describe for us the moment of tribal renaissance that we are currently in. After that, in our next session, I will focus on the third and fourth ideas that I just introduced. I'll explain how to understand the federal responsibility towards tribes and some of the questions that raises when you're thinking about reporting on legal issues involving Native people. And I will also discuss the question of Congress's power to make federal Indian law and policy and its relations with the presidency and the Supreme Court. So throughout, we're going to offer pointers that are helpful for reporting on the Trump administration. But as I said, the framework is more general than that. I'll close with one more point by way of introduction. We will, at various points, stress the importance of understanding the unique histories of tribal peoples and the unique history of federal Indian law and policy, which is also crucial to understanding the legal issues in this area.